Welcome to the Generation Elevation podcast, a conscious, connected platform for those who are ready to manifest their dream life. I'm your host, Elise Riley, a former PT, now motivational speaker, igniting empowerment and transformation all across the globe. Here at Generation Elevation, we are committed to bringing you the most inspiring guests who will share their stories, wisdom, and advice to help you progress closer to living a life of your own terms. Welcome back to another episode of Generation Elevation. Today, I am here with a special guest. He is a full-time father, filmmaker, and mentor for so many. And I am just really honored to have this human here today because I remember the first time we met, there was a vacant seat next to me at the dinner table. And this guy, he sat down and we started talking, and we ended up talking for like at least 40 minutes, completely disregarded the whole entire table. And we went down rabbit holes of all the consciousness and all the things. And honestly, I left that conversation feeling so good and so motivated and energized and light. And when you meet these people in your life, it's an indication, like when you walk away feeling like you have more energy, stay around those people. And so I would love to introduce you all today to Godfrey. He is just amazing. So hello, Jay. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Hey, friend. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Like I said, like the people that you feel super energized after hanging out with them, it's like a note it down because these are the people you need to hang out with more.
Yeah, 100%. I remember that dinner too because I was actually, I'm pretty sure I shared this with you, I was feeling so much anxiety that day. And I remember like so much so that I didn't even want to go to this dinner. And there was like 15 of us, I think. 15 of us. And then, one seat spare. So I sat down and then you and I just literally spoke one-on-one for 40 minutes, disregarded completely, like, not present with anyone else at that table. And then I realized like, oh man, I feel good, like, yeah, it was beautiful.
It was so good. It's the start of our beautiful friendship.
Yeah. I support that comment of being intentional with the people you choose to be around, noticing how they make you feel. Do you go away feeling tired or energized?
Yeah.
100%.
Like, I am a massive believer in you're the average of the people that you hang around. So if you're spending time with people that, you're feeling tired and lacking energy and it's complaining, justifying, judging, then you're more likely to energetically become that as well. So it's like, who do you want to be? Where do you want to go in your life? And surround yourself with people that are on the same path.
Yeah.
So, Jay, my audience probably has no idea who you are. So I thought I'd just ask a couple of questions so they can get to know you a little bit before we jump straight in.
Yep, cool.
So how old are you? Where are you originally from and where do you live now?
Yep, cool. I am 37, grew up in New Zealand, little town called Paiatua for the majority of that, and then moved to Oz when I was 20. And currently residing on the Gold Coast. And
filmmaker, like what specifically do you film?
Good question. Really good question. I've done a lot in, I guess, like sacred circles, the conscious community, through my own journey of healing and the things that I've been a part of. A big part of my part in all of that was usually the filmmaking side of it, or the storytelling aspect, photos, film. So I've done a lot of that. I have two passions in filmmaking. One is like content of my kids and I, like really fun, like vlogging, type of content. And then the other stuff is, and I guess it all falls under one umbrella, but the other stuff would be sharing people's stories of adversity. So it all boils down to storytelling. I love telling story and delivering feeling.
I love that. And so how long have you been doing that for?
I've been full-time for myself, plug Impakt Media. I've been full-time working for myself for almost 2 years now. And then as a hobby, I would say 6 years. Yeah. As a passionist. So I was creating content for 3 or 4 years while still working in construction. A lot of that time was FIFO.
So are you originally started out as a FIFO worker?
Yep. So I was in construction prior to 2 years ago for about 10 years. And most of that was fly in, fly out.
Yeah.
So I would go away for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, 4 weeks. And towards the end of my construction career, I was doing big stints of 3 and 6 months. I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yeah. So one last question as well. What is something that you've learned this week in particular?
I've learned a lot about using resources that we have, in particular a site that I'm switching all of my things to, which is one site that does all the things. So, if you wanted to podcast, have a website, webinars, so I'm learning that, and it's just blowing my mind how diverse it is and how helpful. Yeah, so I'm learning that, and that's massive.
Oh, sick. And what is one thing that you are grateful for this week?
I'm grateful that I've learned all of that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm grateful for relationship.
That's cool. And so you mentioned earlier that you have been on your own journey of healing, and I'm curious to know, what are maybe the 3 main things or events or situations or lessons, learnings that you have come across in your life that have created who you are today?
I just rattle them off as they come to mind, but the major incident or experience for me was, and I guess a turning point in my life was when my wife and I separated. Well, so when she left our marriage, for me, that was the turning point of choosing change to stop continuing this pattern that I seemed to be on. And I had known it for a while, but never really knew how to change it, or I actually didn't really understand it. My awareness was not great. I just knew that there was this thing that was happening, and, that's just life. So when she left, that really put me on this path of enlightenment to become more self-aware. And then through having a better awareness, I'm able to implement new things, new behaviors, new, healthier decisions. So that thing, my marriage separating, taught me a lot about self-awareness and then how to implement better tools to do better.
And so, obviously that would have been a really tough time for you emotionally and spiritually. And so how did you go from one of the lowest lows to then discovering okay, I need to be more self-aware? How do you go from A to B, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I had no idea when it happened. I realized, though, that I wanted to make change. Something has to change. I can't keep having these same relationships with a different person. So I actually Googled, how do I be happy? That's sort of where I was at with knowing these things. I was listening to podcasts at the time, probably had been for about a year, so I had some awareness, but how to actually make the changes was a pretty far-fetched idea for me. So I Googled how to be happy, and then I literally went through the lists of things that I could find of these ways to heal, which at that point I didn't really understand, but I just started doing all these things. I remember first thing I did was crystal healing. And for me, like 5 years ago, crystal healing would have been like woo-woo or crazy. That's weird, bro, you know? Like, so yeah, I found this lady on Facebook, I think, and then called her up, drove 3 hours, did this crystal healing. Psychology, I went to a psychologist. Like, I was kind of desperate for help at this point. So I was literally trying all the things. And all of those things made lots of difference.
Yeah, right. And so, like, you kind of tried a bit of everything, and what did you find that stuck? What did you, like, do, or how did you feel? In other words, like, what was that thing that was like, oh, this is why I need to do this and continue on with this?
Awareness, I would say awareness was the thing, because when you're actually aware, like really aware, and then you start looking deeper into the reasons why, and just, which is all just awareness. I'm aware of that. Okay, why? Go a bit deeper. Psychologist helped me a lot with that. In the first appointment, she helped me a lot just by telling me pretty much. She put it really simply. I went to the psychologist and she said, "What are you here for?" I said, "Oh, I'm here to get my wife back." And she said, "Well, that's not really how it works." And I was pretty naive at this point. I turned around and said, "Well, you're not very good at your job then. Like, tell me what I have to do to just get her back. Like, you can just get them back, you know?" And she brought awareness to my situation and asked me questions that prompted different thoughts. She said, "Why did she leave? Let's look at that." And I said, "Oh, take your pick." I was all these things. I was, controlling, manipulative, unsupportive, not that kind, not compassionate. And she said, "Well, why don't we try and work on those things and change them, and then maybe your wife will want to come back."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, that's out of it, I've never considered that." So that was the very first session with her, and she prompted that thought of like, oh, I don't even know what it would look like to not control the situation, to have someone want to be with me, which then with awareness, I went into that, and it turned out I was just really insecure. So what was driving that was, why would someone want to be with me? Like, I have to make people stay. Do you know what I mean? I have to control that situation so that that person wants to be with me. I'm not just going to choose to be with me. So I was, pretty unaware of all of that. So awareness is the thing that's really helped.
Wow. And I really think people listening right now would be resonating so hard with this. And I love the way that you just explained that, especially in regards to like your own self-esteem and self-worth of like, why would anyone want to be with you? And like, so many people would be experiencing like that right now as well, that feeling of like, oh, I don't deserve X, Y, Z and what they want, whether it be their dream relationship, whether it be their dream job, or like a dream body shape, any goal that they have. So I guess has that been something that you always had, like that insecurity throughout your whole life, or?
Yeah. So through doing the work, I can answer that by saying yes. If you'd asked me back then, nah, like I'm all good. I'm sweet. But I was unaware. That's what it was. I was just blind to these really obvious facts that probably a lot of people could see. Anyone that was, I would say, aware would be able to take one look at how I was behaving, and my comments, conversations that I would have clearly reflected someone who was not secure in themselves. So yeah, I 100% did. And through doing the work, have been able to look at where they stemmed from. And a lot of it came from a sense of not belonging and just wanting to be loved, for me, by our Father.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where a lot of it stemmed from, to put it really briefly.
Yeah, of course. And so I guess with this whole conversation, it's just coming back down to that awareness of how you're speaking, what you're thinking, how you're behaving. And so what would be your advice then for those who are getting started on their own healing journey, and maybe they've had a situation in their life that has been uncomfortable, like a breakup, or they may be made redundant, things like that during COVID especially? Like, what would be your advice for someone who's wanting to step into the space and increase their awareness but is not sure how?
Great question. Literally by trying to be aware and understanding yourself more is going to start the process. And then something that helped me massively was extreme ownership. For me, the more I stepped into owning all the things, everything, I believe I'm at a point in my life now where everything, I have a part to play in everything. So for me to take ownership of every situation that I have a part to play in, it's always back on me. And that was a massive shift because I was never like that. I used to be real stuck in a victim mindset. Everything happened to me. Oh, I lost my job because of vaccine. Oh, like, poor me, my wife left, like, da-da-da-da. Hang on, bro. Your wife left because you're a dick. Like, you lost your job because of the vaccine because you didn't want it. It's like ownership back on self. So that's probably the best piece of advice I could give is, like, look at where you can take ownership in the thing, because we have a part to play in all of it.
That as well. Like, yeah, what happens to you is for you.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not easy. The other bit of advice I would say is kindness. Be kind to yourself. And expectation, that's a really easy way to, I guess, disappoint, as if you have expectations, especially on others. So if you expect someone to treat you the way you've treated them, like, that's really your shit. So that, again, ownership on yourself for having an expectation of someone to do or say something, because no one has to do anything. Like, literally, no one has to do anything. No one has to behave a certain way. No one has to say anything at all, kind, nice, nothing. So if we have expectations on others, even on ourselves, it's a really slippery slope, and you can be really disappointed quite easily.
I saw your post on that the other day on expectations. That was, really good. So, Okay, so you be kind to yourself. How do you be kind to yourself, Jay?
That's something that I've really had to work on, because I was my biggest critic. And again, it takes time. It takes time to implement these things. It's taken me like 5 years to get to this point of being kind. How do I do it? I just try not to focus on how it could have been better in every situation. Oh, yeah, you did do a great job, but you didn't do that. Or it's like, well, hang on, celebrate, like, be kind by celebrating what you did do. And just try not to beat myself up. Like, try not to get stuck in but it could have been better. Because again, that to me links back to being insecure. Perfectionism is, in a sense, insecurity.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. This is so, like, maybe we're in the quantum field right now. I'm literally going to do a post on perfectionism tonight, and how, especially because I work with athletes and high achievers, that the perfectionism is a mask to hide, the fear of not being good enough.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And I did this, for me, I do a lot of self-learning, and I do a lot of the frameworks that I teach others on myself. And one of the things was writing down a list of things that I wanted, and then the limiting beliefs around those things that would come up. And then as, like, I think one of them was like not being able to afford it, or not having enough money, or not knowing enough, not being good enough, all of those things with enough on the end, right? And so if you're trying to chase that goal to be good enough, to be smart enough, to have enough money, or have the perfect enough relationship to get to where you want to be, the thing with enough, and if you're a high achiever constantly chasing that, there never will be enough.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never actually, because once you get to that point, you'll aim higher and higher and higher and higher. No celebrating. And even for myself, taking this on board is like celebrating every single win, because like when you are reaching those goals, if you're not celebrating the small wins, you're not going to celebrate the big wins either.
Well, there won't be a big win.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like, oh, yeah, I got the gold medal, but, man, my time could have been better.
Yes, literally.
Like, bro, you got the gold medal. Yeah, I know, but I know I could have done better. It's like, to me, that's not kind.
Yeah.
Especially high achievers, I think could really like lean into that kindness a lot more. I guess it's hard to find the balance of like, oh, I'm being kind to myself and not pushing yourself. Yeah, and I guess that's what elite athletes have to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's for most of the general population anyway. And you mentioned something of finding that balance, especially between like the feminine energy of resting, rejuvenating, recovering, not necessarily female, but then also like masculine and like going, doing, achieving, getting things done. So especially with yourself being a father and then also a businessman, how have you managed to find that balance between the two?
I'm pretty new to having my kids full time. It's been, 6 months now. Yeah. And for the first, I would say 2 months, it was so much. And I had to learn because I wasn't, I've just realized I was about to be not kind to myself, but it wasn't sustainable. I'll say that much. At the rate that I was going, things were stressing me out. Everything was too much. Couldn't do this, couldn't do that. So I had to try and find that balance so that I can ultimately be a mum and be a dad. Like they have their mum. Their mum's still here on the Gold Coast with us. But having them full time was like, you have to nurture and you have to be and you have to do.
Yeah.
So actually, I've had a lot of help this year with coaches, two great coaches. Shout out Dr. Espen and Zach Kravitz. So Espen helped me so much. I signed up to work with him to scale my company. It's a business development 16-week mentorship. And actually what we did was sort my life out. And since then, my company is scaling.
Yeah.
So what we really soon realized and got into was like, bro, how are you even able to do business? Because I was full-time father, brand new to full-time father, homeschooling the kids, and then trying to do my company stuff as well. Yeah. So he literally helped by helping me realize that. Again, I guess going back to awareness and then being able to say, what are you doing that you shouldn't be? And I was like, nothing. I can't really outsource any of what I'm doing. And then he just switched my mind into thinking differently, awareness, and like, could you get a cleaner? Oh yeah, I could, but like, I don't have money for that, or well, how much are you cleaning? I don't know, probably 5-6 hours a week. Okay, you pay a cleaner to come and do that. How much money can you make in an hour? I was like, oh yeah, like a lot more than I pay someone to clean my house or come and cook my food. So just having that switch of mindset to actually consider these other things, and then all of that has helped harmonize my life. So I'm able to be when I'd like to be, and then I'm able to do when I need to do.
Yeah. So would you say then there's like a link, and I know that I believe this, that there's a link between like your own journey and the abundance that you experience in your external reality as well? And so like the more healing like work you do on your own mindset and things like that, the more you start to attract and manifest things.
Oh yeah.
Faster?
Yeah, 100%. I'm pretty new to learning like the quantum physics side of spirituality, but I really like gel with it, and that's why I wanted to work with Espen, because he's like the master of that. So what I'm learning is, 100% frequency. So the more work I do on myself and my mindset, the more abundant I am, because I believe my frequency is higher. So I've really reduced the amount of people I spend my time with this year.
Yeah.
It's very few at the moment, like really just probably 3 or 4 people. And keeping that energy for myself has done wonders for my mindset, because when I was giving out so much energy, my energy was low, and then I would get caught up in, poor decisions with my diet, poor decisions with my decisions, maybe like go out drinking or, because my energy was low. So I was making like low vibration decisions. And then thoughts would creep in of like scarcity and fear. So the more I'm mindful of where my energy goes and how to keep my vibration high, literally the higher everything is.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So for those listening, like vibration can kind of be like the mood that you are feeling and experiencing at that point in time as well. And so what would be your advice then? So let's say someone listening right now maybe is having a not so great day. What would be your tips for them to increase their vibration, increase their energy, their mood, and generation elevation, right? Yeah. What would be your tips for them to elevate to therefore then bring in what they want faster?
I think a really good mindset to have in terms of that is not trying to spend too much time figuring out why you feel that way. So, awareness is fantastic. But what I learned from my first few years of my healing journey was I was spending a lot of time in the shit, in my shit, and like with the mindset I have now, I actually don't need to sit in there for days and days and days and try and figure out why and make sense of it. Like, I know what I know, and it's that I don't want to feel that way. I know what I know, and it's that I want to feel that way. Like, I want to be over there. Okay, so do I need to sit in this? Actually, no, not really. So just thinking, okay, like, think where I want to be. It might be a hard concept to apply at the very beginning of maybe trying to get out of the trenches. But, just not giving too much time to trying to understand, because it actually doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter a great deal. Like, I just want to be over there.
Yeah.
Just want to be happy and healthy, high vibration. Also, second thing would be kindness again. Like, there's going to be days where we are low. We are going through something. Retrograde moon. I don't know what that is, but like.
Yeah, everyone's going crazy around that at the moment.
Yeah, my mate said to me last night, how powerful is this retrograde Saturn eclipse moon? I was like, it must be. I don't know. I know I'm in a good place, so thanks, moon.
Yeah.
But being kind in that moment and like, I feel a bit low, because we're going to have those days. But if it starts happening 2-3 days in a row, then I think it's time to look at what's causing it. Again, maybe not that necessary. Maybe you just want to go, I notice I'm not feeling great. You know what? I love when I hang out with Elise. I'm gonna like reach out to Elise.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've got like 3 or 4 good mates at the moment, and we're all on. And when we're not, we know we can reach out to each other and just say, hey, bro, I'm just feeling a bit of a way. This is on my mind. And a lot of the time, how the person shows up to support is not to fix us. And I'm referring to my 3 or 4 friends.
Yeah.
We literally just show up to listen and then offer support of how can I support you? Yeah. Would you like a solution or support? Which is a powerful question. Those 2 things. Focus on where you want to be kind. And there is things you can do, like reach out to a friend, or for guys, go to the gym, like go and work out. Like it feels good to work out. Probably females too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm straight in the gym.
Yeah, me too. I know if I'm having a bit of a morning, like for me to go and move my body, I always feel better generally after a workout.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that piece on like, do you want a solution or support? I think that is something that the listeners can really utilize in all relationships, even with their partner, with their friends, in business as well. Like, I think that's really a powerful question to ask. And I think like as well, when you're in those like low moments where you're feeling maybe a bit lethargic, at a lower vibe, asking questions that are not disempowering. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Like we said before, why does this stuff always happen? Like, what's wrong with me? All that kind of thing that we can kind of spiral down at times. Instead of asking disempowering questions, asking empowering ones, like, okay, seeing where you want to be, like you mentioned before, let's say happier, right? Or at peace, calm. And so what can I do right now that can help me move towards that goal? And it's like, oh, okay. And then your reticular activating system in your brain will start to search your experience to then like give you proof of that bias rather than disempowering bias.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I think that's really like brilliantly like intertwined together, those two things.
Yeah.
And so like, what is next for you? So you've obviously you're in the filmmaking industry now, and you're doing heaps of like conscious content on Instagram, and you're doing like the in the conscious community as well. So like, where do you see this growing and expanding to? Like you said, you're scaling your business. Like, what's next for you?
Ironically, right now I'm going through a transition, more towards mentorship. I literally in the last couple of weeks have had, call it messages, whatever, messages from source or realizations within self that, man, what I have been able to do in 5 years in terms of changing my life from where it was to where it is now and in the direction that I'm going is like almost crazy. And I don't want to take power away from myself by saying it's crazy, because I have done that with the help of others. But the things that I was experiencing are common. And a lot of people, if not all, can relate to some aspects of my journey. And I've learned so much from amazing mentors and teachers over 5 years that I actually, because I love people, like I love connecting with people. I love this, I love sitting down at the dinner table with Elise and just talking to Elise, So like, people is my jam. I actually realized I probably prefer to do that more so than filmmaking. I love creating content that I love to create. I am realizing I'm not so drawn to doing it for money.
Yeah.
I would, if I was to, like, what would you do as a dream job? I would love to empower people to choose change and go from where they are to where they want to be.
Yes, I love that. I think that's beautiful. And well, one, this is what my podcast is all about, and hence why you're here. And two, that you're already doing that. Yeah. Which is really cool. And now, like, you just put a label on it, call yourself a coach, and you're already there.
I know, right? And for, a long time I thought, oh, who are you to coach? Who are you to, like, you're not perfect. This is like stories that play up in my head all the time, like, bro, you haven't like fixed everything yet. And then, so coming back to kindness, which I've been practicing a lot in the last couple of months, is like, well, hang on. Yeah, you haven't, solved all the world's problems, But hand on heart, you have changed from what you were to what you are. Can you help people do the same? 100%, 100 million gazillion percent you can.
Who are you not to follow this path?
Right? Like, and that was my, I guess, that was me staying small. Like you spoke about earlier, winning the gold medal, it could have been better. It's like, I'm not there yet. I'm not at a point yet where I could help people. Bro, yes, you are, 100%. Like the knowledge that I have from the experiences that I've been through and the mentors that I've worked with, 100% you're in a position to help people.
Yeah.
So stop dilly-dallying and just commit to the thing.
Yeah, I think I heard this from someone once, whether it be a coach or a book or a podcast, but the question is, like, who are you not to take action on this? Because by taking action and helping people through your coaching, through whatever industry or whatever passion that you have in your heart, and like the question is, who are you not to follow that? Because the impact on the other side could help so many people, and therefore by not doing it and playing small and succumbing to those limiting beliefs that keep us in that box, the comfort zone, it's doing everyone that you could potentially impact a disservice.
Yeah, it really is. And in terms of serving the people, I believe I have more potential in serving the people in mentorship than I do filmmaking at this stage.
Yeah.
I would love, and I will do it, I would love to create. So why I started Impakt Media was because I was given permission to be myself through someone that I look up to so much, sharing his story in front of 20 of us, like, tough guys. And this guy is like the toughest guy, Watani Wainga. And so when he shared his story so vulnerably, that's what it was for me. He was so vulnerable. Like, he was really emotional and standing up in front of us, 20 tough dudes on our first ever walk. He shared a moment with us, his story, that gave me permission to be myself, 100% authentic, genuine, vulnerable self. And it's literally that moment where I went, fuck. Like, if this dude can stand up there crying, he's struggling to speak, he's that emotional, saying all he ever wanted was for that man there to love him, and that man was his dad, who's also the toughest dude in the world, who's also now, like, crying, was like, holy shit, this is a lot, man.
Yeah. And
there was 20 of us big tough dudes, we're all now in tears. We're all like, some are trying to hide it and, like, put their face away. And like, for me, that was permission. So I started my company about 18 months after that to do the same on a global scale through the art of filmmaking, telling story.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create short films on people that have been through adversity, like myself, like pretty much everyone, and then create the short film, and then also have a podcast episode on the person around their story, going into a little bit more depth of what the film displayed. So that's my big vision for the company.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
And, like, I believe people like yourself, myself, that are doing this work, that are on the healing journey, like those that are listening, that are attracted to platforms like this, where they're wanting to learn how to up-level and be the best version of themselves. I really believe that this, like, next generation is all about that, like, being the permission piece for others to step into their vulnerability via courage, and showing others that it's okay to just be authentically you. Because by being authentically you, it gives other people permission around you to also elevate to their highest version of themselves as well.
100. And I know that firsthand. At least you know me, and I'm like, how I show up is really authentic, super vulnerable, and that has become one of my greatest strengths, is to be able to share everything openly. I share my entire life, everything that I've done in the past, and the more that I share it, the less power it has over me now. When I started sharing it 4 years ago, man, I couldn't even get through the story without, crying a million tears, and which is beautiful. I'm like, crying's beautiful, but it had so much power on me, had so much effect, whereas now I can tell it and not be affected emotionally. It's still a powerful story to me, but it doesn't hold that power on me because I've shared it so many times.
Yeah, that's so cool. And honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on my show today, sharing your story once again, because like I said, there'd be the people listening to this right now and just resonating so hard with everything that you've said. And I'm excited to hear feedback that I get from this episode. I think it's going to be really beautiful. So, Jay, before I ask one last question, where can my listeners find you if they want to keep in touch and follow your content?
Yep, all the platforms at the moment. So Instagram's probably my go-to, Instagram and TikTok, which is just Jay Godfrey, JayGodfrey. My company is Impakt Media. That's a bit dormant at this stage. Personal brand is really the direction that I'm going. So yeah, Jay Godfrey, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. Pretty sure that's it.
Amazing. Cool. And so I'll pop the links for all that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
This last question, are you ready?
I feel a bit of nerves. Yeah, I'm ready.
It's excitement. So I asked this to all my guests, and the question is, and it doesn't have to relate to what we've spoken about today already, but the question is, what would be one message, one piece of advice that you could leave the audience with today that you believe they need to hear right now? What would it be?
That's so hard.
Like the first thing that comes to mind, channeling it through, whatever you've got to do.
The first thing that came to mind was, if there's something that you want to do and you don't know how to do it, ask for help. That was literally the first thing that came through, because that's been the biggest thing that's changed everything for me in the last 10 months as I've been on this journey, trying to figure things out, and it's been great. It's fantastic. And as soon as I went, I really want to go in this direction with intention. Who has done this? Like, who's scaled a company? Espen, bang. So sign up for his program. Yep, work with him. Boom. Like, extreme change. So yeah, that would be the takeaway, is if there's something that you want to learn how to do, get help. Free help, paid help, whatever. What you get out, what you put in is what you'll get back. So I paid a guy who was really good at what he does, and he taught me lots of things so that I'm able to now do what I do way better, way more effectively, as in it would have taken me years to learn what he taught me. So, yeah.
I love that. And, yeah, if you guys haven't listened to my episode with Espen, definitely go check that out, Dr. Espen. I think it's How to Master Your Life. It'll be somewhere if you have a scroll. But, yeah, that was also a really great episode. And it's really cool to see the impact he's had on your life and everyone else's. And he's such an incredible human. And so are you. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. I appreciate you so much. And, yeah, we'll definitely have to get you on again soon.
Thank you so much, Elise. You are an amazing human too.
Oh, thank you.
Don't leave that out.
Yeah, I'm an amazing human, guys, just so you know.
Yes, say it louder for the people in the back.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, Elise, cool. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for being a part of the Generation Elevation community.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a 5-star rating, written review, share, and tag me on Instagram at elise.riley. Until next time, keep loving, keep learning, and keep rising.